Unbeknownst to humans, a secret menace loomed as giants quietly snatched children from their beds in the dead of night, intending to feast upon them. However, the course of events took an unexpected turn when one young girl caught sight of a towering giant under the moonlit sky. It was the bewitching hour in the heart of London, and our protagonist, a girl named Sophie, diligently ensured that all the doors and windows of her orphanage were securely shut. This eerie hour was notorious for the mysterious disappearances that plagued the city. As Sophie meticulously secured the premises, an ominous presence, colossal and obscure, silently moved through the quiet town. While the other children in the orphanage slumbered peacefully, Sophie remained awake, immersed in her book. Suddenly, the orphanage cat sensed something amiss and ventured out onto the balcony. Intrigued, Sophie trailed the feline, only to find herself face to face with a gigantic figure lurking in the streets. The colossal intruder, catching Sophie's gaze, sent shivers down her spine. Overwhelmed with fear, Sophie concealed herself beneath her blanket. Yet, the giant's immense hand reached into the orphanage, snatching Sophie and her makeshift hideout. With Sophie securely in his grasp, the giant embarked on a daring escape from the town. He skillfully eluded any potential witnesses through a series of cunning maneuvers. Once beyond the city's limits, the giant embarked on a wild journey across the countryside, taking astounding leaps with his lengthy legs. Finally, in an astonishing display of agility, he leaped into the billowing clouds. Upon descending from the heavens, Sophie found herself in a mysterious and unfamiliar land. The giant ushered her into his abode, suspending her, cocooned within her blanket. With dexterity, he began to chop vegetables for a stew. Sophie, seizing a fleeting opportunity, tried to break free when the giant's attention waned, but her efforts were in vain, resulting in a cacophonous commotion that drew the giant's attention. The giant spoke to Sophie, explaining her futile escape attempts. He disclosed that they were now in the realm of the giants, known as Giant Country. Intrigued, Sophie inquired about their location, and the giant replied with a simple, "Giant Country." Outside, the ominous presence of giants could be heard, sending chills down Sophie's spine. She pleaded with one of them, imploring him not to make her his next meal. In response, the giant chuckled and assured her that he was no monstrous cannibal. He had no intentions of devouring her. Sophie, however, countered, labeling him a monster for kidnapping her. The giant's response was tinged with remorse, particularly for her parents. Sophie, with a heavy heart, disclosed her orphaned status, revealing she had no parents. She ventured to ask whether the other giants were as friendly as him, to which he grimly replied that they were not. They would readily consume her without a second thought. He also confessed that in the grand scheme of things, he was considered a runt in Giant Country. Sophie questioned the reason behind her abduction, to which the giant explained that he had no choice. If he allowed her to leave, she might report the sighting of a giant to humans, resulting in his capture and confinement in a zoo. Sophie vowed never to reveal what she had seen, pleading with him to return her home. However, her assurances fell on deaf ears. The giant remained skeptical, warning her that venturing outside without him would expose her to the other giants, who would eagerly devour her. Intrigued, the giant produced a jar containing a swirling blue light. Sophie inquired about its nature, to which the giant described it as a dream. Sophie, however, dismissed it, asserting that dreams weren't tangible things. As Sophie dozed off, engrossed in slumber, the giant retreated to a deeper part of his dwelling, housing numerous jars with luminous contents. He selected one with a vivid red light and commenced his work. Awakening from her nap, Sophie discovered the giant in a state of rest. She seized the moment to make her escape through a nearby window. However, her flight was abruptly halted as a colossal giant, even larger than the one she had encountered, loomed before her, snatching her up. Sophie cried out for help, but the friendly giant simply shut the door to his cavernous abode, leaving her pleas unanswered. Due to his helplessness, the colossal giant tosses Sophie into the air and engulfs her in one swift gulp. However, Sophie awakens, realizing that the entire ordeal was nothing more than a dream thoughtfully conjured by the friendly giant to demonstrate that dreams could indeed become tangible. The following morning, the friendly giant indulges in a fizzy beverage known as Frob Scottle. Sophie observes an unusual phenomenon in the drink. The bubbles descend instead of ascending, contrary to regular beverages. She points out this anomaly, prompting a discussion with the giant. He nonchalantly remarks that upward rising bubbles result in unpleasant burps. Sophie playfully counters that downward floating bubbles might produce even worse outcomes. Undeterred, the giant proceeds to release an enormous gas emission, propelling him into the air like a rocket. He finds this experience immensely enjoyable. However, their jovial moment is interrupted when one of the menacing, human-eating giants arrives. To shield Sophie from harm, the friendly giant conceals her, narrowly averting a perilous situation. Sophie ingeniously hides within a vegetable, narrowly evading becoming a snack. The friendly giant persuades the other giant that he despises vegetables and exclusively consumes human beings. Subsequently, the friendly giant escorts Sophie deeper into his cavernous dwelling, assisting her in tidying up. He presents her with an array of clothing to choose from for a new outfit. Sophie selects a red jacket, which elicits a curious, almost melancholic expression from the giant. When Sophie inquires about his demeanor, he remains silent. He then places Sophie in a cozy chamber nestled within a tree and announces his intention to embark on his duty, which entails capturing dreams. Despite Sophie's desire to accompany him, the giant firmly declines. Nonetheless, Sophie's unwavering determination eventually persuades him to relent. They venture out of the cave house and stumble upon the slumbering, menacing giants. Attempting to navigate past them stealthily, they inadvertently awaken the sleeping giants who seize the friendly giant by the leg. Sophie rushes to take refuge in a dilapidated old car, as the ferocious giants subject the friendly giant to bullying, treating him as a plaything. Sophie can hardly fathom why the friendly giant doesn't assert himself. Just as she contemplates this, a sudden downpour begins, sending the menacing giants scattering in every direction, driven away by their aversion to water. The friendly giant swiftly places Sophie inside his bag and flees, inadvertently leaving her blanket behind. Unbeknownst to the friendly giant, the other giants catch wind of the scent of the blanket and deduce that he has a human companion with him. Together, Sophie and the giant journey to a realm known as the Dream Country. Under the starry night sky, Sophie notices the radiant stars above. The giant shares that on particularly clear nights, his colossal ears can detect melodies emanating from the stars. He goes on to reveal that he can also hear the hushed conversations of insects in the ground, the gentle footsteps of ladybugs on leaves, and even the clandestine exchanges of the natural world. As they reach a serene lake, Sophie observes the reflection of a monumental tree within its waters, brimming with dreams. The giant recollects that he was once known as the Big Friendly Giant. He then plunges into the water, entering a distinct dimension. Urging Sophie to join him, she complies, and they stand before the tree from which all dreams originate. Amidst the dreams, the giant identifies a rare golden one. In his pursuit, he notices that the golden dream slows down near Sophie, as if recognizing her. He explains that he can hear her voice when he listens to this particular dream, capturing it and labeling it as Sophie's dream. Together, they continue to gather dreams, with Sophie assisting the giant, until they encounter a red one, a nightmare. The giant apprehends the red dream and clarifies that it signifies regret, showing people the haunting deeds of their past without offering any hope of forgiveness. Exiting the otherworldly dimension, Sophie and the giant resume their journey. Along the way, Sophie decides to refer to the friendly giant as BFG. Upon arriving in London, BFG employs his giant trumpet to disperse joyous dreams among slumbering individuals, narrating these pleasant dreams for Sophie's enjoyment. On their return journey, they witness the other giants setting out to hunt for human children to devour. Sophie firmly believes they must devise a plan to put an end to this perilous situation. In their conversation, they also come to a significant realization. Sophie accidentally leaves her blanket behind in Giant Country, and suddenly, BFG's expression turns serious. Sophie awakens in front of the orphanage, where BFG informs her that because they left her blanket in Giant Country, the other giants are now aware of her existence. Consequently, he believes it's no longer safe for her to stay with him. Sophie, however, remains determined and suggests that they can confront the other giants together. In response, BFG recounts a somber tale of how he once brought another boy to Giant Country. Just like Sophie, the boy spotted BFG, and BFG had to take him there. The red jacket Sophie found once belonged to that boy. Unfortunately, when the other giants discovered the boy, BFG couldn't return him home in time to protect him from their anger. BFG resolves not to repeat that tragic mistake with Sophie, and despite her protests, he departs. Alone on the orphanage balcony, Sophie speaks to BFG, knowing that his giant ears can still hear her. She senses his proximity and leaps off the balcony to coax him to reveal himself. BFG catches her, and they return to Giant Country, brainstorming a plan to thwart the other giants. Just as they start devising their strategy, the menacing giants arrive, launching a frantic search for Sophie throughout BFG's abode, inadvertently wreaking havoc. Sophie narrowly evades detection by the giants. Fed up with the intrusion, BFG decides to take action. Armed with a flaming rod, he drives the vicious giants out of his home. Meanwhile, Sophie takes refuge in the room BFG had prepared for the previous boy he brought to Giant Country. While there, she discovers a picture of the Queen and conceives a plan. They create a custom dream for the Queen, depicting giants devouring children and the army heroically intervening to stop them. The dream also includes Sophie and BFG. Their hope is that when the Queen awakens from this dream, she will be open to hearing their plea. They make their way to the palace and prepare to share the dream with the Queen. They project the dream towards the slumbering Queen. When she awakens, the Queen shares the dream with her assistant, who finds it intriguing because children have indeed been mysteriously vanishing throughout the country. As the Queen's assistant goes to close the curtains, she discovers Sophie standing there, and the Queen recognizes her from the dream. Sophie proceeds to recount the entire tale to the Queen, who readily believes her, having witnessed it all in her dream. Sophie then introduces the Queen to BFG, resulting in an initially awkward encounter. Subsequently, the Queen informs her generals about the threat posed by the giants. A peculiar lunch is arranged for BFG, highlighting his giant-like manners, and the meal turns into an amusing and awkward affair. BFG even persuades the Queen and her attendants to try frobscottle, a drink that causes uproarious gas. Following this, BFG leads the royal army to Giant Country. He devises a dream of remorse to give to the other menacing giants, rendering them full of regret and vulnerable targets for the army. Sophie and BFG discuss Sophie's golden dream. She inquires about its contents, and BFG explains that it's Sophie's dream of a normal life, but one she can only achieve in her own world. Sophie asks if BFG will continue to hear her whenever she calls out to him, and he responds by pointing to his colossal ears. The moment arrives to release the dream toward the giants, but BFG realizes he's left his trumpet back in London. When he's not looking, Sophie seizes the dream jar and ventures into the midst of the slumbering giants. She is on the verge of opening it when one giant awakens. Sophie manages to shatter the jar, filling the other giants with remorseful dreams, but the first one remains alert and confronts Sophie. BFG steps in to defend her, preventing the giant from attacking her. Just in the nick of time, the royal army arrives, halting the giants' assault. They capture and restrain all the menacing giants, liberating Giant Country from their reign of terror. The giants are exiled to a remote island where they have no means of escape and are sentenced to a lifetime of consuming only vegetables, a punishment they begrudgingly accept. Subsequently, Sophie awakens in the Queen's palace and is welcomed by her assistant. Meanwhile, BFG enjoys the solitude of Giant Country, cultivating a bountiful vegetable garden and penning a book chronicling his adventures. Back at the palace, Sophie greets BFG, fully aware that he can hear her wherever he is, and indeed he does. The story concludes with Giant Country now free from the menacing giants. Thank you for watching.